Every morning, millions of teenagers worldwide start their day not with breakfast, but by checking notifications on social media. Digital idols have become an integral part of Generation Z's life. According to recent studies, the average teenager spends over 4 hours daily on social media, viewing hundreds of posts, stories, and videos. 95% of young people, aged 13 to 17, have access to a smartphone, and 85% regularly use YouTube. In this stream of content, influencers hold a special place. The new heroes of the digital age, whose influence sometimes surpasses the authority of parents and teachers. Their lifestyle, opinions, and values shape the worldview of an entire generation. But what is the price of this influence? How does constant consumption of idealized content affect young people's self-perception? Where does the line between inspiration and toxic comparison lie? And most importantly, how to find balance in a world where the virtual and the real are becoming increasingly indistinguishable? Who are influencers then? And why do teenagers trust them so unconditionally? Essentially, they are digital opinion leaders who create content and have a significant audience on social media. But behind this simple definition lies a complex psychological phenomenon. Unlike traditional celebrities, influencers appear more accessible and authentic. They share personal stories, show their daily lives, creating an illusion of closeness and friendship. Psychologists call such relationships parasocial, waking one-sided emotional ties where the subscriber feels a deep attachment to a person they have never met in person. A teenager, daily observing a blogger's life through a smartphone screen, begins to perceive them as a close friend or even a family member. This illusion of closeness is amplified by interactivity. The ability to leave a comment and receive a reply creates a feeling of real dialogue. When an influencer addresses the camera with words like, "Hey guys," or "my beloved audience," the brain perceives it as a personal address. For an adolescent's developing psyche, seeking role models and striving for group belonging, such a connection becomes especially significant. Parents and teachers are often perceived as representatives of another generation, not understanding modern realities. But an influencer speaks the same language, shares the same cultural codes, and seems to genuinely understand the young person's problems and aspirations. Moreover, many bloggers intentionally position themselves as older brothers and sisters, offering advice that parents cannot or will not give. They discuss topics tabooed in the family, share personal experiences of overcoming difficulties, creating a powerful emotional bond with the audience. Every day, millions of young people open Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube and immerse themselves in a world of flawless bodies, perfect faces, and ideal proportions. Social media has created a new reality where physical beauty has become a digital product, meticulously edited and filtered to unattainable perfection. Studies show a disturbing trend. 80% of teenagers regularly compare themselves to the images they see on social media, and 72% experience dissatisfaction with their own appearance after such comparisons. Behind these numbers lies a profound transformation in the self-perception of an entire generation. Filters and retouching are no longer just photo editing tools. They have become the lenses through which young people look at themselves in the mirror. Teen girls are particularly vulnerable. 65% of them admit to experiencing anxiety due to their bodies not conforming to the standards showcased by influencers. This leads to eating disorders, body dysmorphia, and other serious psychological problems. It's noteworthy that even bloggers themselves often fall victim to the standards they create, spending hours chasing the perfect angle and lighting for a single photo. The effect is amplified by social media algorithms, which promote content with certain types of appearance, creating the illusion that such beauty is the norm, not the exception. A young person scrolling through their feed doesn't see that behind a flawless shot could be dozens of failed takes, professional lighting, makeup, and hours of editing in photo editors. Experts warn, we are witnessing the first generation that from early childhood is constantly exposed to idealized images on such a scale. The long-term consequences of this phenomenon are yet to be studied, but it's already clear that fostering a healthy relationship with one's body is becoming one of the key challenges of the digital age. In a world where influencers daily showcase luxury cars, designer clothes, and exotic travels, a particular value system is formed, deeply penetrating the consciousness of teenagers. Modern digital idols do not just broadcast a lifestyle, they create a new philosophy of success, where consumption becomes the main indicator of a person's prosperity. On one side of the scale are vivid stories of instant enrichment, viral videos of a teenager earning $1 million in a month, footage of endless shopping and ostentatious extravagance. On the other, traditional values of hard work, gradual skill development, and creating something meaningful. And for many young people, the choice seems obvious. I don't want to work like my parents, 5 days a week at a job I hate for a modest salary. This opinion is increasingly heard among teenagers. Instead, a desire for quick enrichment is formed, often without understanding the real efforts behind any success. According to studies, 70% of modern school children dream of becoming bloggers or influencers, perceiving this as an easy path to wealth and fame. The problem is exacerbated by the fact that most influencers show only the glossy side of their lives, hiding years of hard work, failures, and daily difficulties. Behind the scenes remain hours of editing, failed takes, the stress of constantly creating content, and the pressure of competition. A distorted idea is created of what true success is, and at what cost it is achieved. This leads to the formation of a generation with high expectations and low tolerance for monotonous work and gradual growth. Psychologists note an increase in the deferred life syndrome among young people, where the present is devalued in anticipation of instant success, which is expected to arrive any minute now. Behind bright filters and perfect photos lies a disturbing reality, a growing mental health crisis among young people. Studies in recent years show a disheartening correlation. The more time a teenager spends on social media, the higher their risk of developing anxiety and depressive disorders. Psychologists identify several key mechanisms of this influence. The first is constant social comparison. When a young person sees their peers, or their retouched versions, attending exclusive events, receiving recognition, and displaying a happy life, their own reality begins to seem gray and inferior. At the same time, the brain does not account for the fact that people usually only show the best moments of their lives. The second mechanism is the fear of missing out, or FOMO. This is a constant worry that something interesting is happening somewhere without your participation. 73% of teenagers admit to feeling anxious if they cannot check notifications for several hours. Social media has become a round-the-clock stream of events, creating the illusion that real life is happening somewhere else. The third aspect is dependence on external validation. Likes and comments have become the currency of self-esteem. Every post turns into a request for confirmation of one's own worth, and the absence of the expected reaction is perceived as a personal failure. Neuroscientists confirm, notifications about likes activate the same pleasure centers in the brain as food rewards or other basic stimuli. The statistics are alarming. Over the past decade, the rate of clinical depression among teenagers has increased by 40%. Girls are particularly vulnerable. For them, the risk of developing depressive symptoms with intensive social media use almost doubles. At the same time, many young people do not receive the necessary help, trying to drown out anxiety with even greater content consumption. closing a vicious circle. Despite all the risks and problems, the influence of influencers on youth also has a bright side. In the ocean of entertainment content, there are true islands of knowledge and inspiration where digital leaders use their popularity to educate and support their audience. Science popularization channels, garnering millions of views, prove modern teenagers are interested not only in entertaining, but also in educational information, if it is presented in an accessible and engaging way. Influencers specializing in science, history, or technology make complex concepts understandable and exciting, inspiring young people to research and academic achievement. Many teachers note that students often come to lessons with information obtained from such bloggers, which creates new opportunities for the educational process. Influencers who openly discuss mental health are of particular value. In an era when anxiety and depressive disorders among teenagers have reached record levels, such bloggers break down the stigma surrounding psychological problems, sharing personal experiences of overcoming difficulties and motivating their audience to seek professional help. The story of 17-year-old Anna, who found the strength to tell her parents about her depression after a series of videos from her favorite blogger, is just one of thousands of examples of such positive influence. No less important is the role of influencers who promote a healthy lifestyle without toxic standards and extreme practices. They teach teenagers to take care of their bodies out of self-love, not out of fear of not conforming to ideals. Many of them openly oppose photo retouching, showing their real bodies with all their peculiarities, which helps young people form a healthier attitude towards their own appearance. In the digital age, the concept of personality is undergoing revolutionary changes. Modern teenagers form their identity not only in the real world, but also in virtual space, where the boundaries between the real and the constructed self become increasingly blurred. Social networks have become laboratories of self-identification, where young people experiment with different versions of themselves, sometimes creating several digital personalities simultaneously. The phenomenon of multiple online identities is becoming the norm. One profile for parents and teachers, another for friends, and a third for self-expression within a specific community. 16-year-old Maria admits in an interview, "On Instagram, I show an ideal life. On TikTok, a funny and creative version of myself. And in a private account, I share real problems and experiences. Sometimes I don't even understand which of these versions is the real me." This gap between the real and virtual self-image creates cognitive dissonance, especially dangerous in adolescence, when the formation of a stable identity is a key psychological developmental task. Psychologists note an increase in cases of digital dysmorphia, a condition in which a person becomes so accustomed to their filtered image that they begin to perceive their real reflection in the mirror as wrong. An even more alarming trend is the loss of authenticity. Teenagers admit that they often post not what they genuinely like or are interested in, but what will bring more likes and approval. 80% of surveyed high school students confessed that at least once they took photos in places or with things they were actually indifferent to, but which look good in the feed. Behind the beautiful photos and inspiring stories on social media often lie carefully crafted mechanisms for influencing an audience. Influencers use an entire arsenal of psychological techniques that turn ordinary subscribers into loyal followers and consumers. One of the most common manipulation tools is native advertising, when commercial promotion is disguised as personal experience or a sincere recommendation. "Many ask me to talk about my skincare routine," is a typical beginning for an integrated promotional post that a teenager perceives as friendly advice from a trusted person, rather than paid advertising. Studies show that about 60% of young users do not recognize hidden advertising, especially when it comes from a favorite blogger. Even more problematic are the so-called toxic trends and dangerous challenges. Social platform algorithms amplify their spread, highlighting content that evokes strong emotional reactions. Challenges involving holding one's breath until unconsciousness, extreme diets, or dangerous stunts go viral precisely because of their shocking nature. At the same time, teenagers, striving to gain peer approval and increase their own popularity, often do not assess the real risks. The artificial creation of the fear of missing out, FOMO, deserves special attention. Phrases like "today only," "limited edition," "exclusive for subscribers" activate the fear of missing something important and push users toward impulsive decisions. Psychologists note that behind these manipulations lies not only commercial interest, but also the desire to retain audience attention in conditions of information overload. In the digital age, parents face an unprecedented challenge: how to raise children in a world where influencers sometimes hold more sway than family. The key solution isn't prohibition, but conscious guidance. Modern parents must accept a simple truth: blocking apps and restricting internet access only creates an illusion of control. Instead, energy should be directed towards building a trusting dialogue. Inquire about which bloggers your child follows and why they find them interesting. Watch a few videos together. Ask open questions without judgment or criticism. This approach will not only strengthen your bond with your teenager, but also give you insight into the values propagated by their digital idols. Parental attention should focus on developing critical thinking. Teach your child to ask the right questions. Does the influencer truly believe in what they're promoting? What benefit do they gain from promoting certain ideas or products? How are perfect photos and videos created? Help your teenager understand the difference between real life and the carefully edited version they see on screen. Special attention should be paid to the digital literacy of the entire family. Create household rules for social media use, based not on prohibitions but on common sense. For example, agree on gadget-free time during family dinners or before bedtime. Discuss news from the world of social media together. Analyze high-profile scandals involving bloggers and their ethical aspects. Such conversations will help your teenager form their own value system and learn to distinguish useful content from manipulative content. In a world of endless feeds and constant notifications, it's easy to lose your true self. How can a teenager maintain their individuality and psychological well-being? Start with a digital inventory. Open your subscription list and honestly ask yourself, what emotions does this person's content evoke in me? Do I feel inspired or anxious after watching their videos? Unsubscribe without regret from those who make you feel worse. Remember, your feed is your territory, and you decide who you let in. Learn to recognize manipulation. When an influencer says, "Everyone has already bought this product," or "You're missing out on an opportunity," these are classic pressure tactics. Ask critical questions. Do I really need this item? Would I be interested in it if it weren't for the advertisement? Set clear boundaries for digital consumption. Determine times when you don't touch your phone. For example, the first hour after waking up and the last before bed. These periods of digital silence will allow you to hear your own thoughts and desires. Develop real skills and hobbies unrelated to social media. Paradoxically, the most interesting content is created by those who have a rich life outside the internet. Remember, you don't have to conform to digital beauty standards. Your body is not a trend or an object for likes. It is meant to live, feel, move, and rejoice. Learn to appreciate it for its functionality, not for its conformity to temporary ideals. And finally, most importantly, create. Don't just consume. Even if you only have 10 subscribers, share your true thoughts, creativity, ideas. It is in creating your own content, not in endlessly consuming others, that true self-confidence is born. With great power comes great responsibility. This truth is especially relevant for modern influencers. When millions of young eyes follow your every move daily, every word and action gains colossal weight. Ethical influencing is not just a fashionable trend, but a necessity in a world where digital idols shape the worldview of an entire generation. Transparency becomes the basis of responsible influence. The audience deserves to know when content is sponsored and when it reflects the blogger's genuine opinion. Labeling advertising integrations not only complies with the legislation of many countries, but also builds trusting relationships with subscribers. More and more influencers are moving away from total photo retouching, showing real skin imperfections, natural body proportions, gray hair, or wrinkles. Such honesty breaks the vicious circle of unattainable beauty standards. Young blogger Elisa, with an audience of 500,000 subscribers, recently published a series of unedited photos with the words, "My real skin with acne is also beautiful, and yours is too." This post gathered thousands of grateful comments from teenagers who for the first time saw that their idol faces the same problems as they do. A responsible influencer does not shy away from difficult topics, but approaches them with due delicacy. Discussing mental health, social issues, and ecology requires not only emotional engagement, but also factual accuracy. Many bloggers involve experts so that their content carries not only emotional, but also educational value. The future of relationships between youth and influencers is already beginning to take on new contours. We are witnessing the dawn of an era of conscious digital consumption, where teenagers increasingly ask critical questions and demand authenticity. The new generation of social media users is no longer so easily manipulated. Studies show that 70% of modern school children consider it important to verify information from the internet using multiple sources, and 65% can recognize an advertising integration even if it is not appropriately marked. The educational system is also gradually adapting to new realities. Digital literacy and media education lessons are being introduced into school curricula worldwide. Children are learning critical thinking, not as an abstract skill, but as a concrete tool for navigating the information space. They are mastering the basics of fact-checking, recognizing manipulative techniques, and the psychological traps of social networks. Legislative initiatives also reflect a growing understanding of the importance of regulating the digital environment. Laws are being passed in various countries, obliging influencers to label advertising content, restricting the use of filters without appropriate disclaimers, and protecting the personal data of minors. These measures create a more transparent and safer environment for digital maturation. But the main trend of the future is balance. A balance between the virtual and the real, between consumption and creation, between digital connectivity and live human interaction. Young people are beginning to realize that true happiness is not measured by likes, and real life is much richer than any Instagram story. More and more communities and movements are emerging that promote ideas of digital minimalism and conscious technology use. Teenagers are organizing digital detox challenges, sharing experiences of life without social media, and finding joy in offline activities and direct communication. The future belongs to those who learn to use digital tools without letting them use them. To those who can take the best from the virtual world, connectivity, access to knowledge, opportunities for self-expression, without sacrificing authenticity, psychological well-being, and real human connections.